Let's get to the Premier League then, which seems to be a three-horse race at the moment when it comes to the title race. And the winners over the weekend, Arsenal and Liverpool, with City dropping those points to Chelsea. We want to highlight, though, some of the biggest concerns with each team. But just before we do that, what was your overall take of what we saw at the weekend when it comes to the title race?
Well, I mean, I think we have to talk about Chelsea because not only was it a positive result, but I mean, we saw a blueprint, a philosophy of playing, which is good. I'll get to Chelsea. I mean, it's obviously not that rosy just yet, but I think before we go to the concerns, right, and we'll start, even with Chelsea, we have to acknowledge when they get something right, and they did, because they aspired to be great, and I'll give them credit, right? At the very least, they put the money where their mouth is, and even though it hasn't been a great season, there are too many clubs that say the right things, but never do anything. So spending all that money, I don't know if they're turning the corner here, because we've seen this before. But, I have no time for that, for teams that don't do anything and that yet want to get credit. So it was good. Having said that, remember that game at Stamford Bridge was 4-4 against City, right? Remember after that, it was kind of up and down, win, loss, win, loss, win, loss. If this game was 5 minutes longer, Manchester City would have found a way to win it. So not all is great in terms of them, but I don't know how much time you want to speak about Chelsea, because at the end of the day, I mean, they're still in 10th. I don't think they moved up anywhere.
Right. No, it's more to the point, like City's dropped points, and what that means right now is this going to be a week that we look back on come the end of the season. I suppose that's the point we're getting to. But you know what? Hold that thought, because we're going to give the biggest concerns for each of the teams, and I think it'll probably come up when we talk about them. So let's start with Liverpool. The biggest concern or / concerns for Liverpool for you with what's
it's an obvious one, and untimely injuries, right? I mean, every club has had it. Liverpool has had it throughout the season, but what happened in that last game is something that at this stage, at a moment that you're in, with such a big win, with the momentum going your way, where you can actually sit down, even within that game, right? I mean, because, big win, you say to yourself, come on, you got to be kidding me, right? Diogo Jota just coming back really from injury, unbelievable in the last couple of games. Curtis Jones, such an important player when it comes to creativity, right? From the start or from the bench, because that midfield is very good, very strong, but lacks that creativity sometimes, right? Curtis Jones is arguably the only player that can fix that. You look at Darwin Núñez, comes off at halftime, and now it's very much questionable. I think just they're keeping it tight because they're playing tomorrow, right? I mean, I suppose tomorrow they can rest as many as they can, but Chelsea is a big game on the weekend in terms of the final at Wembley, and even Mo Salah. There are doubts because of his injury. He came back from African Cup of Nations injured, kind of started playing. You see how much he means to that team, because almost immediately, same Mo Salah, injury or not, but he's questionable. So that's massive. I mean, Alisson in goal. I mean, how of all the ones that I've mentioned in the run-in for such big games, when you come under pressure, because there's going to be games, that Alisson has a history of bailing his team out on one or two or three occasions within the game. So that's massive. I mean, you can't bypass that. And I'm not a doctor. I don't know when they're going to recover some of these players, but the timing couldn't be any worse.
All right. Arsenal's biggest concerns.
I almost want to say themselves. They're unbelievable. They're growing as a team. They've learned from last season, it seems to me. They have players that are playing lights out, with Martin Odegaard and Saka looking world class every game. I mean, I don't remember a game where they were bad. Maybe they weren't as good as their top level, but always at an incredibly high level. So I think it's just themselves, nothing more. Just purely believing that last season won't happen, because you could say that their depth is not that of Liverpool and say Manchester City when you look it down the bench, but it doesn't seem to faze him. So the only concern is themselves, believe it, that this is the season, and obviously maybe injuries like Liverpool are experiencing right now. Nothing more. They have the quality to win it.
Just looking at their run ahead, Janusz, because it looks probably the toughest out of the three of them in terms of the Premier League, not with cup competition. We're looking at Newcastle at home, Sheffield United away, Brentford at home, Chelsea at home, and then City away. That's a bit of a run for them that will tell a lot at the end of it, won't it?
Sure. They've proven already that they can beat any big team in this league. The question is of maintaining that level and not slipping up in games that you're not supposed to slip up. I think it's, because it's so tight, the question about, you've mentioned some of the teams, even the bigger teams is not to lose, because drawing those teams, keep up with the Joneses, I suppose. So that's not an issue. It's winning those games that, maybe a Newcastle game that on surface doesn't look as great, right? Because of the injuries they've had and down season in comparison to last year. But, I think if you read me Liverpool's and Manchester City schedule, I'm sure they're running into some of those teams in the next few games to come. So no easy lunch for anybody, but nothing that you said there scared me, right? I mean, if I look at Manchester City, they got Liverpool, Manchester United coming up, right?
Yeah.
So if you Arsenal in the next, those, the title is going to be decided, and probably, I don't know, decided, but that's when we're going to see some, some room to run in the next couple of weeks, is week by week. I almost forgot what you said, that third or fourth or fifth, because it doesn't matter. When it's this tight, it's really the opening. Who blinks first, and then kind of just do your job, right? Maintain the rest.
Yeah, I suppose, because when you look at it, we had a question about this on FC Extra Time this week on the show. It was from one of our viewers saying, do you feel as though it's going to be a very small points difference at the top of the table come the end of the season in the Premier League? That's to say that not one of these teams will win it by running away with it.
3 points. 3 points will and again, when you have three teams vying for it, right? When it's two, it's a little bit different, because that blinking, the first blink is enough. Sometimes mentality goes different places. Then the schedule becomes an issue, because you lose a game, 3 points, then, hypothetically you look, hey, City's got Sheffield United at home, and Liverpool all of a sudden, after dropping points, have, I don't know, Arsenal away. And, you lose that, it becomes 6 points, and it's done and dusted. So with three teams, that psychology plays a big, big role. And that's why I think it's going to be anywhere between 1 or 3 points, whoever's going to win it.
So what are City's biggest concerns to end this when it comes to the title contenders?
I guess, again, conceding. I think they seem to do it. They seem to allow the opposition to get ahead in games. I didn't look really in the statistic. I should have. My apologies, but there seemed to be a thing. We always know that they can. Even in that game against Chelsea, you saw what was happening in the second half. Partially because it was always going to happen. Partially because Pochettino, after having great tactics in the first half, for some God knows what reason, made the substitutions that he made in terms of Sterling and Cole Palmer. Okay, I get it, one, but not both really in that game. They're still fighting on all fronts, I suppose. And but I still think that City are almost where they're supposed to be. I just want to see that stability. Remember, last week, I think, Kay, you weren't there. I was just talking that we're at a point at a season where last year we knew exactly the starting 11 for all the big matches. We still don't know that. And there's still changes. It almost seems to me that Pep Guardiola is absolutely not convinced just yet, especially in the back. He needs to get that done. I know he's rotating a little bit, but he needs to stop that, right? He needs to figure out, it's got to be Stone probably next to Ruben Dias, Akanji coming off the bench, Ake still on the left, most likely, or the decision with Kyle Walker and where do I put Foden? Is he central? Is he on the outside? Those type of things. We absolutely knew the big game comes, Europe comes, Bernardo Silva, forget central, go out right, because you need to be chasing, the Camavingas of the world, the Vinny Juniors, and nobody else can do the job defensively. We all know what you can do in forward. Julian Alvarez is giving him issues because he's playing too well. Well, forget it. We know that in the biggest games, probably, no, Julian Alvarez, you're great coming off the bench. You probably need to be doing that because I want Foden and De Bruyne as the 2 10s because they can unlock just about everybody. So this is what I'm waiting for. I know it's not that easy with all the games coming thick and fast. And you have to rest players, which we'll probably see again today. But I kind of want to see that stability from Manchester City.
All right. And I'm sure we will return to talk about it. But things are tight in the Premier League title race right now. Not so tight in the Bundesliga, but I'm sure the story's not over.